Too many cats. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, things are a little bit more calmer in Yankee land as we exit May and enter June. The Yankees about 10 games over 500, which was vast difference from a couple weeks ago when people were looking to fire Cashman, fire Boom. My God, this team's a disgrace. Beatty came back, of course, and then, of course, Judge returning from the IL. Things much different, so we'll examine the team again as they creep up there in the AL East. Again, they kind of put themselves in an earlier hole, but in much position, as well as look at some Yankees that are returning, because Stanton's just around the corner, as well as Donaldson. So get you caught up on all that great stuff. But before we start, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So after every series throughout the regular season, give a little wrap-up, a little summary of the 3 games, maybe miss one of them, or if it's even a 4-game series as well. Kind of give you a little wrap-up of the whole thing, what you missed, what's going on. Keep you caught up with the Yankee team. So wherever you get your podcast, go Section 420 Talkin Yankees, the podcast, and subscribe. The Yankees got a big shot in the arm with the return of Luis Severino, who we've been waiting for. Again, had a delayed start of the season. Came back, and the first 2 starts have been very promising. Of course, the first one was in Cincinnati there, pitching to the 5th inning, and then even did better that at the game against the Padres. Should have gotten the win. The Yankees gave him no offense. Now, it was a game the Yankees eventually won in the 8th, thanks to heroics by DJ LeMahieu as well as I kind of Falefa. But Severino, just one mistake, a hanging slider to Fernando Tatis Jr. Other than that, pretty flawless. So again, the first 2 starts, good. So very good sign, promising side for Luis Severino. And the Yankees are going to need that just to stabilize that starting rotation. Luckily, the Yankees have been able to piece it together, of course, with Clark Schmidt and Herman. And then, of course, you see the likes of Johnny Brito, who then, of course, now is down in AAA, as well as that spot stop by Ramon Vasquez during the Herman suspension, which we'll get into a little later there. So kind of solidifies the rotation a little bit. Now, Cole, again, you look at his record, or at least, as he leaves May, 6-0 there. Now, last couple of starts in May, not great, got touched up a little bit. I don't think it's any concerning, but overall, Cole's having a good season for the Yankees. But I think early on, I think perhaps maybe just tied himself out a little bit because he was going to go in longer early in the season. Now you see him just kind of struggling between 5 and 6 innings. So again, maybe he's just going a little fatigue around with Cole, but still, it's Cole. You rely on him. Now you can back that up with someone like Severino, who's just, again, looks really good in the first 2 starts. He probably could have gone long in the first start, but of course, the first start of the season, they're not going to push him too hard. So he's want to get the rest of everyone else falling in line there. Now, the one concern you do have to have is little Nestor Cortez. And he's kind of been touch and go a little bit. We've seen him have some starts where he's just been getting, lately, just having one bad inning where he's just getting blasted. And it's usually giving up like a 3-run home run or a grand slam, something like that. So I don't think it's anything really too concerning at this point, but he does not seem to be totally the same Nestor of last season. So hard to say, is it injury related? Is it something maybe with his groin? Again, we saw him, he had to exit last year's playoff game because of the groin issue. He was supposed to pitch for Team USA at the start of this baseball season. Of course, he had to duck out just because of that groin bothering him. So is that bothering him a little bit? Maybe, possibly. But you got to be a little concerned with him, but I wouldn't push a panic button at that point. But again, you just see this Yankee rotation finally falling in place. And of course, the big piece we're waiting on, Calls for Dome, finally starting to throw. Again, he was really delayed. First was the forearm issue, then became a chronic back issue. They gave him a couple of cortisone shots. Looks like he's able to throw, but want to hold your breath a little bit on that one. So no really stable timetable yet when he's going to start pitching games and come and be on the mound, at least for the Yankees there. But at least he's able to throw the ball there, so that's good news. And then once you can get him in there, I get the only benefit of this whole delay is that he doesn't have a lot of innings, because he's not going to have a lot of innings this season. So he's someone maybe once he gets acclimated and you get him in there, you could push him a little harder come September and even in October, because again, he's not throwing innings now. So that's kind of the silver lining of the whole thing. But most importantly for the Yankees, the good news, Luis Severino's back, and again, he's the Yankees' definitely number 2 starter. Now, turning the tables to the Yankee bullpen, I think it's going to be a situation come trade deadline. They're going to need a closer because apparently Clay Holmes is not the de facto closer anymore. Now, I mentioned in some previous episodes that it's kind of weird just the way they're using Clay Holmes. Sometimes early in the game they would like to. Now you figure maybe there's something where they're just looking at matchups, down the road, who's on the bench for the play, and maybe I'd rather have Peralta close games. But again, if you have Wandy Peralta closing games, something's wrong there. So Clay Holmes has been he got off to a good start to the season, but he's kind of been hit or miss. And it's just evident just the way they've been using him lately. Again, using him early in the game, sometimes having King close out a game, sometimes have Peralta close out a game. Something's definitely wrong there. So he definitely lost that closer role where no doubt about it, you figure, all right, 9th inning Holmes, that's it. Well, that's not the case for anymore. So I don't think he's terrible. He's been overall really good for the Yankees, but I just think it's a situation where they haven't anointed him as the de facto closer, which means they're going to have to get one probably around the trade deadline. I don't think someone I'm coming through the system like a Greg Weissart will be that role. Man, he's decent, but he's not put him in high leverage pressure situations. I don't think he's going to come through for the Yankees, so that's probably something they're going to be looking at the trade deadline. Now, again, if you have someone like, if you're setting up the last couple of innings, you go into like King, Holmes, Peralta, then a closer. Hey, that's pretty darn good. So that's probably the direction the Yankees are going in. Who that's going to be, I don't know. Again, people throw out the name, Aroldis Chapman, who is now hitting 104 again for the Kansas City Royals. No way he comes back for the Yankees. Nor would I want him back, even though he's having a much better season. I just, that bridge has been burnt. And plus, I can see him come here and just unraveling again. And plus, just the way that, again, he missed that practice last season during the playoffs and kind of blew the team off, and because he probably felt he wasn't going to be on the postseason roster and kind of a bit of a crybaby. I mean, there's no way you bring him back, even if you're desperate for a closer. It won't be Chapman, but I think it will be somebody else because I just don't think they trust Holmes fully in there. Now, maybe if Holmes has a couple of great weeks where he's just kind of that old Holmes untouchable, maybe, but it just seems something he really doesn't have control over that sinking fastball, and he comes out there and he could just blow, he could blow 3 batters away in 9 pitches, or he could struggle and put a couple runners on if he doesn't have a feel for that sinker. And it seems like he just doesn't really have a good feel for that sinker, and the Yankees don't trust him anymore. So Holmes, still a good part of the Yankee bullpen, but I think around trade deadline, you're going to see them try to get a closer. Of course, I just don't think they fully trust him. As for the rest of the Yankee bullpen, Tommy Kahnle working his way back. I think that would be a good asset for the Yankees. And of course, at some time down, you're probably looking around August, maybe September. The Yankees should get Jonathan Loáisiga back. Now, I like Loáisiga, what he did during last season, postseason last year. I think he really grew up. He really matured. But you're going to have to come back and, almost take right away, you're going to have to throw him right into the fire. So I don't know how good he's going to be just because he's going to throw him right in there before he knows that he's going to in the playoffs. So I don't know how good Loáisiga could be, but at least it's a safety enough to know he's coming back. But you can see the Yankees really just, really don't have the faith in Holmes anymore. So let's just say there's a big postseason game in the 9th inning. Most likely you're seeing someone else in there closing it out. Now, the Yankee offense has been flowing pretty well, and of course, when Giancarlo Stanton comes back, that should be even more tremendous. And, of course, once he comes back, he'll strain his pinky and be on the IL again. But nevertheless, Yankees are expecting him back. But I also, now someone who maybe Yankee fans aren't dying to get back, but he's going to be an asset for the team, is going to be Josh Donaldson, mainly because it gives an opportunity for DJ LeMahieu to get off his feet a little bit. Now, you look at DJ LeMahieu leaving May, you got to be concerned a little bit. You figure April's first month struggling a little bit, but it's really been 2 full months of the season that he hasn't looked like DJ LeMahieu that we were hoping to get. Again, he had the kind of fracture in his foot last season, kind of understand that a little bit, and coming into the season now, supposedly, again, he didn't opt for the surgery. Had another way for recovering. They opted that way, and he says he feels fine. Manager says he's healthy, but if you look at DJ LeMahieu, he's just not the same player. Again, now he's 34 years old, so we'll get old a little bit, but leaving the month of May, only hitting about 250 with 6 home runs. Not really the home runs as much, but really you expect a lot more DJ LeMahieu with his batting average. I mean, he's supposed to be a 300 or better hitter, at least better than 275. But again, he seems struggling, kind of dip under 250. Then he raises it up to 260 a little bit, but then he dips back down to like 247 like that. So for some reason, he's not really hitting a good stride. Now, he says he's close, whatever that means, but maybe I'll just trust him, take his word on that. But, we're looking for that DJ LeMahieu that, those first 2 seasons when he came in the Yankee, when he was just absolutely tremendous. You could say, again, he was just as valuable as Judge, maybe more valuable. The Yankees need that DJ back. Is he there? Not sure. Now, I think the reason I mentioned Donaldson, I just think Donaldson in there at third base more at a stable rate more than, it just takes DJ LeMahieu kind of get him off his feet a little bit. Again, DJ's been playing a lot of third base as well as some first base. Again, that's been part of the plan. It was going to be a bit of a jack of all trades, a little second base there to spell Torres a little bit, but with the Donaldson injury, and it's kind of been, lingering too long, DJ's probably been playing a lot more third base than they were expecting. And again, maybe a little wear and tear on him, where now if you can get him off his feet a little bit, you could DH him a little bit more, maybe just give him a little bit more time off, and maybe overall that will help him just be a little bit more fresher, and maybe that batting average will go up a little bit. And you're also looking down in the minors there, Oswald Peraza, who got sent down, he's tearing up there, that's great, but in the time he was up here early in the season, didn't exactly tear it up as well. And of course, Falefa, he's been improving a little bit, and we'll kind of get to him a little bit, but he's someone there, again, he's okay, he's decent, but you're not going to look him. Between IKF and DJ, you're always going to give DJ a little bit more time at third base there. So when Donaldson comes back, though, I think we'll see what his offense is, but at least he's going to give DJ a breather. And speaking of IKF, again, you're not really impressed by it, but actually he's been heating up a little bit. Now he's raised his average as it leaves May at 217, which you think, well, that's not really impressive. But where he was about a month ago, you would take that when he was like barely struggling in the ones. This is how bad his batting average was. Now you figure a lot of that had a multiple number of reasons. Obviously, he lost the shortstop starting job to Volpe, so less at bats, even though they've been finding him some bats elsewhere. Again, playing also some outfield as well, just to get him some at bats. But he finally saw him to hit the ball a little bit more with more authority lately. Again, had the home run in Toronto, had a home run in Cincinnati, a big hit in that second game against the Padres. That was the walk-off hit there. He hit the ball hard to third base there. So you're seeing IKF heat up a little bit. He's just someone the Yankees are going to keep around a little bit. I don't think you really look to trade him. Again, they signed him to like a one-year arbitration deal for $6 million. Again, after the season, he's going to be gone anyway. Now he's going to be serviceable around. Now you might think, look, again, for those Yankee fans out there who, again, now that Aaron Hicks is gone, Josh Donaldson's going to be, public enemy number one if he doesn't really start hitting well right out of the gate. You think, well, just put IKF there at third. Still, between the two of them, maybe IKF's defense is going to be a little bit better than Donaldson. Again, IKF, a former Gold Glover, you got that with Texas a couple of seasons ago. But if you look at the ceiling between Donaldson and IKF, Donaldson is going to always have the highest ceiling. He's a little bit older, but still power-wise, over the long haul, you're going to get more home runs and more power production out of Donaldson. Of course, Donaldson, a former MVP. Again, IKF is a nice player, but he's kind of a bit of a slap hitter, more or less. Again, I don't think he's going to hit higher than 250 like that. So even if Donaldson pulls your hair out when he's only hitting like 210, still power wise, you got to give the nod to Donaldson. So once again Donaldson's back, he's probably going to take the majority of playing time at third base over IKF. And after a season and a half, we finally saw the debut of Ben Rovette, and the Yankee catcher who was part of the deal that brought IKF and Donaldson here in the first place. Again, shipped out for Gary Sanchez and Urshela. Kind of a deal which maybe I'll really analyze this a little bit after this, because it's always a deal I was like going back to, because you never see. You really can't judge those things until a couple of seasons after. But finally got to see Ben Rovette. Now he's been set back a couple, past year and a half just with various injuries, but was tearing it up in AAA. And of course, once Jose Trevino went down on the IL, I guess it was an easy choice to bring Rovette up, and he was quite impressive. If you look at that game in Cincinnati, again when the Yankees had that big inning, he was kind of the one who kind of got the rally going. His first at bat hit a double to the wall there, so you like what you see from Ben Rovette. But again, once Trevino comes back, it just seems like a situation where Rovette is probably get sent back down. Now it's kind of interesting. You look at him; he's hitting 286, but really that 286 is from going 2 for 7, which it's a small sample size. So I don't know if he really put too much stock in it. But again, he was doing well in AAA before he even got here, so it's probably chances are he's on a good hitting streak. He's probably a much better quality hitter than Higgy is. But of course, with Higgy, he's the de facto, you say, he's backup catcher. But would you look to trade Higgy? Would you want to dump Higgy, or you wouldn't send Higgy to AAA? Just all the time he's put in the majors, you just don't demote a player like that. You just basically put him on the waivers and get rid of him or trade him like that. So I don't think the Yankees are there yet. If they could have their druthers, maybe they would rather have Rovette as the backup to Trevino, but they just probably don't know Rovette, can he handle the pitching staff yet? That's the one benefit Higgy has. He's familiar with all the pitchers, and of course he's a good framer as well, so I think they value that over the potential of Rovette's offense. But again, I like Rovette. I think, of course, being a left-handed bat, something the Yankees somewhat limited, don't really have too much of lately. So if you have him there as a catcher, as a left-handed hitter, I think that's his benefit. But for the rest of the season, once Trevino comes back and as long as he is healthy, those are going to be your two catches, and Rovette's is probably going to have to still wait there in the minors for his opportunities once they come. And of course, they have Rovette under control for many more years to come, so it's not really a rush to get him here. And he's someone maybe, who knows, maybe include him in deals, something in the offseason like that. Now, as for both Higgy and Trevino, they're both arbitration eligible next year. Now, Higgy, he's not going to be a free agent until 2025, and Trevino even a year back till 2026. So it's really, the Yankees have basically these three catchers under control. So that's so I guess you would say Cashman is in a position of power. He has leverage. You have three catchers that I guess you could go to. So you really no panic to make sort of decision. But I know, of course, Yankee fans, we're all fans. You always try to make your team better, improve your team. Over the long haul, the Yankees better with Trevino as a starter and Rovette as the backup catcher? Probably. But again, Rovette would probably have to prove that he could handle the pitching staff. We don't know that. And if you just go back to the past few seasons, remember, Cole used to like throwing to Higgy over Gary Sanchez. Now we've seen Cole throw to Trevino a lot more. But again, Higgy used to be Cole's kind of caddy. Now I think they kind of cut that off a little bit. The Yankees is kind of that, having the automatic there. But I think Higgy, again, even though he doesn't hit much as Rovette, just a familiarity with pitches probably keeps his job safe for now. And A little news about old friend Gary Sanchez, I mentioned before, been the big trade. Now the Mets took a little took a shot on him for a couple of weeks, which that was just going to be a stopgap opportunity. Anyway, he got DFA'd by the Mets, and then now more recently the San Diego Padres have picked him up to give him a shot. Again, no one really wanted him to start the season. Mets give him a shot, dump him right away. Now he's with the Padres, and it's just been tough for him to stay in baseball for whatever reason. Again, always had the power, but again, the batting average went down, and he's just, pretty much been like an automatic strikeout. And I guess defensively, he's not someone like, well, you could put up with bad offense if you're a good defensive catcher. He's not even a good defensive catcher. Always had a strong arm of gunning runners out, but that's about it. Blocking the plate and calling games, stuff like that, not really his forte. So, it's kind of sad to see. Just remember when he came up in 2016, there was just so much optimism about him, and then had a great 2017 season. He was hitting all this milestone, like, first catcher to reach 20 home runs, first catcher to reach 50 home runs, first catcher to reach this many RBIs, and he had all this optimism. And then for whatever reason, 2018 and afterwards, it's been all downhill for Gary Sanchez. But it's kind of interesting. You want to kind of look back at that trade to see where, kind of where they are now, all the stars. Well, forget Gary Sanchez. He could barely stay in baseball now. On the other hand, Gio Urshela, who was part of that deal on the Yankees side, last season wasn't that great, but of course this season much better now with the Anaheim Angels. In 51 games, hitting 310. So, if you're the Yankees right now, you'd rather take that over what you're going to probably get from Josh Donaldson. But at least with the Yankees side, you got the three players that are still active in baseball. Josh Donaldson, who, again, rehabbing, will be his way back soon. IKF, who's with the Yankees right now, and of course Ben Rovette, who came up again during the Cincinnati series to spell Trevino. So the Yankees got three active players from that are still playing baseball right now. And the other side, what the Minnesota ended up with, none of those two players are even with Minnesota anymore, and Urshela now is with the Anaheim Angels. So overall, if you want to grade the trade, I don't know how you look at that, but it seems like Yankees got three players for one. So for the people who want to knock Cashman over the long run, I think the Yankees got the better of that deal. Now, the last YouTube/TV episode, I had my interview with Billy the Bat Boy, so I didn't really get an opportunity to discuss the whole Aaron Hicks situation. But of course, Yankees finally cutting ties with him, which they just kind of had to. It was just getting embarrassing, and it looked like there was no sign of improvement. But you look overall, no one's really taken that left field job for the Yankees. I mean, of course, we've seen Oswaldo Cabrera out there, but if you look at him, he's not really been that impressive. I mean, hitting a little bit under 200 himself with three home runs, so you don't see much power there. The Yankees have been given plenty of opportunities, but again, you just don't see the enthusiasm and optimism the Yankees had with him. Had a great spring training, and of course, remember when he came up last season, both him and Peraza were exciting, but it seemed like he hasn't carried that over into 2023. And you've seen the Yankees put a mix of players out there. We've seen some Jake Bowers in certain moments. Of course, we've seen a little Willie Calhoun. Of course, more recently, Greg Allen, who they brought in just before they were about to dump Hicks. And again, once they brought him aboard, you knew Hicks was the writing was on the wall that he was going to be a goner. But no one's really going out and really grabbed that left fielding starting job. So it's kind of up there a little bit. And again, the Yankees have toyed around that once Giancarlo Stanton comes back, maybe you see Stanton out there left a little bit, or maybe you see Stanton right, and then Judge goes out and plays left field. So that could be a possibility. I really don't think you want to see that because I know Stanton's a much better hitter when he plays the outfield, but then you increase the chance. You don't know he's going to get hurt, so I just rather him be more the de facto DH. But still, left field seems to be open there for the Yankees. Now, that could be a situation where maybe, again, in addition to a closer, Cashman looks to bring someone in, a stabilized, everyday type of left field player. That's a possibility there. Just because no one's really grabbing the job. Can the Yankees get by the rest of the season and have a postseason where you have your left fielder like someone like Bowers or Cabrera, hitting ninth? I guess you could get away with it. And again, more than anything else, you're just looking for defense, which I think Cabrera and Bowers can provide. Willie Calhoun's kind of an interesting person. He's a bit more of a right fielder, but nevertheless. But still, no one's really taking the job there. As a Yankee fan, you want to see Cabrera be the one to do it. So maybe the second half he heats up a little bit more. Again, he can do it. I mean, we saw him in spring training. He had like 5 home runs, and again, he was rather good last season. But this season, though, it just seems like it has a hole in the bat. A lot of strikeouts, but hopefully it's a situation where maybe he can get a little bit better. So Bowers and stuff like that, and Allen, you don't see them around long term. I know Bowers was hitting good in the minors when they brought him up a little bit. It's exciting there. He'll poke a home run once in a while, but he's not someone you look at as an everyday player. He's more of a high type prospect, stuff like that. And of course, someone like Greg Allen, he's just a utility play. He's not somebody you look as a starter. He's somebody you bring off the bench for late inning defense or pinch running, stuff like that. So the job's open. Hopefully Cabrera can just grab it finally. And to wax a little bit more poetic for Brian Cashman, who again back in April people wanted us to throw him off the Brooklyn Bridge, just where the team was struggling. You have to give kudos when they say when to hold him, when to fold him, as you say. Well, just look at a couple of Yankees that he let walk away during the last offseason. One of them being Jameson Taillon, who ended up signing up with the Cubs. Well, he in 8 games is 0-3 with an ERA over 8. Now, he missed a little bit of time being hurt there, but in 8 starts, 0-3 with an ERA of 8, not too good. And, of course, Matt Carpenter, who can visit the Yankees when the Padres came to visit the Yankees. He's only hitting about 174 with 4 home runs and 21 RBIs at the end of May. So, okay, a little bit of power there, but for 2 months, just 4 home runs. So, you want to... Again, people probably wanting Matt Carpenter back. I would have been totally against of giving him another shot, but just look at this kind of what Cashman got out of these players. He had Taillon here as a starter. Especially last year, Taillon was the Yankees, in terms of a win total, was the Yankees' best starter, not overall quality, but in terms of win total. And of course, when he brought Matt Carpenter here last season before he hurt his foot, he had a foot fracture, and the guy looked like Babe Ruth. So, Cashman got so much quality out of these 2 players, said, all right, goodbye, good luck. They go elsewhere, and they do bupkis. So, hey, Cashman kind of, playing poker there, made the right deal. I don't know if you noticed lately, manager Aaron Boone's been a little chippy. Been thrown out 4 times this season and actually have to serve a 1-game suspension because the latest one he had when he got into an umpire during the Baltimore series, guess a little spit came out of him as he was yelling, hit the umpire, technically spitting in the face. So I think that and just the overall outburst lately by him. I guess they slapped him down with a 1-game suspension, which he served during the first game of that Padres series. And if you look at Boone, like we saw from last season, again, he's usually mild-mannered, but you see him do blow up in these situations. I think sometimes he does it. You notice it, like it's always a lot of times when the team's struggling a little bit, so maybe he just wants to get the guys fired up. But we also remember back in the Toronto Aaron Judge game, the peekaboo game, he got thrown out. The Yankees were up, pretty much early in that game, but still Boone finds little things to get to arguments with. And he even set a record if you go back to the Cincinnati ejection. Now, that was that weird game on Sunday. It started like 11:30 in the morning. He got thrown at 11:52 in the morning. So he became like I guess the earliest player to be thrown out of a game there, so setting a record. So Aaron Boone, a little fire there, so you like to see that. You remember he kind of came in with this kind of cool, calm, collective thing. He's never fired with the players. You never see him blow up at the players, and I think that was the difference between him and Girardi. I mean, Girardi, you would see him actually go after players. Remember in his first season, 2008, he yanked Cano out of the game because he felt he didn't hustle. Another time we've seen Girardi have on-field disputes with Gary Sanchez. Remember that time with Chapman, when Chapman didn't back up a throw to home plate there. Girardi literally grabbed the translator, pulled him out there, and just bowled Chapman out in front of the entire arena. And supposedly that's what really got Hal Steinbrenner really turned him off in terms of that's the kind of reason why Cashman wasn't allowed, wasn't asked back after the 2017 season. You never really see that with Aaron Boone. You never see him confront the players like that. Maybe that goes on behind the scenes, but at least he never calls out. So that's why they call him more of a player's manager. Now, maybe does he do that in the locker room? Perhaps like that. But again, Boone now ejected 4 times this season. Maybe he's trying to break a record of own. We'll see for the next one. And Domingo Germán is back, and not from an injury, but a 10-game suspension. And you remember back in the Toronto game where they had too much rosin on his hand, they checked his hand too much, and they yanked him out of the game. And of course, because of that, had to serve a 10-game suspension, similar to Matt Scherzer in the Mets. So Germán's first game back, all right, decently, pitched 6 1/3 inning in that first opener against Seattle there. Wasn't tremendous. They did give up 4 runs, but had 4 strikeouts. But it's good to see him back into the fold there. Now, where the Yankees want to do this, they're going to have to put it on pitching coach Matt Blake to kind of monitor all the Yankee starters just to see, how, if they have too much on their hands, just so they don't get ejected later on in the season. So that responsibility is going to fall onto Matt Blake. And as for Germán himself, he said during the Seattle game, he had the same amount of rosin on he had in the Toronto game, and even before that. So who knows? This whole thing is a little bit silly, nevertheless. But I guess, the Yankees are going to have to enforce that more in-house. It seemed like they were a little upset with Germán the second time because, again, he got caught in that first time against the Minnesota game, but umpires gave him a little bit mercy. But it was the same umpiring crew up in the Toronto game, and they proactively went after him. It wasn't like the Toronto bench, pointed something out. They proactively went after Germán, and I guess they caught whatever he was doing there. So Yankees have to monitor him and that in-house moving forward. And again, hopefully no more suspensions. So the Yankees entered June, slowly crawling up the AL East ladder, and they kind of put themselves in an early hole early on. actually found themselves, if you remember back in last place, was to everyone's amazement, but they have been coming back, and of course Tampa slowed down a little bit, come back to earth. Now it's really Toronto who has really fallen off. They're the ones in 5th place in the AL East, and the Yankees kind of crawl up in 3rd place, just about 10 games over 500. So you'd like to see what the Yankees are doing there. And if you look, just look at the Yankee infielders. You got to give kudos to them, to both Volpe and Gleyber Torres. Now Volpe, really in May, that's when you saw the power turn on for him. He's up to 7 home runs, but you still like to see a little bit more of the batting average, still only hitting about 200. And again, you still get the occasional error from him. Again, he's a rookie, but overall, you're happy with that. But being strong up the middle for the Yankees or any baseball team, that's important to see the power. So you get 7 home runs from your short side hole, and you look at the Yankees, second baseman Gleyber Torres up to 9 home runs, hitting 265, much better. Again, the player, I think Torres took a good step last season, but even taking a bigger step this season now. Probably after the season, he's probably gone as a Yankee again to sign that 1-year arbitration deal for $9.6 million. I don't know if the Yankees are looking to bring him back because they're probably looking to the future. They're probably a situation where they're probably hoping, Peraza and Volpe are the ones, up the middle there for next season for the Yankees, and probably don't have to let Gleyber Torres walk, just because Gleyber Torres is going to want like a 4 or 5 year deal for a good chunk of money, which I just don't think the Yankees want to invest in long term. But at least for the short term, it's just good to see the Yankees up the middle there. Volpe with 7 home runs, Torres with 9, but just with Volpe, you like to get him the batting average up a little bit. But he's been good in even some clutch moments. It's not just hits in the first, second inning. You see him be part of some Yankee rallies there. Even when the Yankees down a little bit, you see him getting like a 2 RBI single, 2 RBI double there. So you like to see a lot from Volpe. Just got to bring up that batting average a little bit. And if you want to look around the rest of baseball, no one's really running away with anything, any of the divisions. I know, again, Tampa got off that great start, in April, but they've come down to earth a little bit. Obviously they have the best record leaving May at 39-17, so 12 games over. But other than that, there's a bunch of teams that are pretty much, even like the good teams you would think traditionally, like Houston, the Dodgers, they're only about 10 games over 500, similar to the Yankees. So no one's really running away from this, which means it's really open for grabs, and this goes to show that all the struggles the Yankees had during that real dark period, where again, when Judge was on the IL, before Beta came along, and it seemed like the sky was falling. Oh my God, Giancarlo Stanton also on the IL. It was going wrong. This is, fire Cashman, fire Boone. From all that to right now, the Yankees are pretty much at the middle or top, of the pack of some of the top teams in baseball. And if you just want to look around the rest of the divisions, like for example, the American League Central, right now you see the Minnesota Twins in first place to start June. Well, look at their record. They're only 28-26, just 2 games above 500. You're not really impressed with them. And of course, the Cleveland Guardians, who would play as a team last year, they're right now 5 games under 500. And then that was a team that was ran the Central last season. So, it just goes to show you that no one's really got off to a great leap and bound here. And even for Houston, again, the Yankees' main nemesis. Now, again, 1-on-1, they probably beat the Yankees. But still, again, they're only about 10 games over 500. So nothing crazy there. So everything's really open, up for grabs for the Yankees. And they do have an opportunity, again, hopefully once Stanton comes back, to really explode with this offense. And if the Yankees get both Stanton and Rendon in the starting rotation, things are really going to take off, and you can definitely look at the Yankees as one of the top teams in baseball. And again, for all the craziness and all the complaining where the Yankees are, look at every team has problems. It's not always the Yankees, and if you're a Met fan, only the Mets have problems. Everybody has problems, but at the end of the day, the Yankees are right there in good position. Obviously, you're in 3rd place right now, so you can't really talk until you're 2nd and 1st place, and I think the Yankees will get there. But again, things are more bright for the Yankees, but really this shows that this whole thing is really up for grabs. It's up for anybody. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you subscribe to the Section 420 Talkin Yankees podcast version of the show. Again, you can hear of me a lot often. You can do wrap-ups after every series, kind of give the yin and yang and the feedback of all that stuff. So in case you miss any games or you miss a week, I don't know, maybe go to vacation somewhere maybe go to Australia for 2 weeks for vacation. You come back and say, hey, what's going on with the Yankees? Check out the podcast. I got you caught up like that. As for the Yankees, a lot of good things, a lot of positives right back. Of course, the big news, good news, Severino's back. That definitely helps the Yankees rotation. Herman is back, and hopefully, he can control his rosin on his hand there so he doesn't get suspended again. So the Yankees starting rotation looking pretty good. Bullpen, you got to be worried about a little bit. I mentioned, it looks like, Holmes is not really the main closer there. And as they say, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. If you have multiple closers, you have no closers. So the Yankees kind of got to stabilize themselves a little bit there. Maybe at some point, as I said, I think you're going to see a trade to bring someone in here to be kind of someone stable that you could count on in the 9th inning. Other than that, the Yankee bullpen is still rather good. You still have King in there, dependable, a multi-inning guy. Of course, with Peralta, Canely should be back before you know it. And then down the season, again, maybe the Yankees pull someone else get in there in the trade that down. And other than that, for the Yankees, you just want to get Stanton back as well as Donaldson there, and then hopefully finally DJ LeMahieu could get on a roll and be the DJ LeMahieu we hope he is. So Yankees in 3rd. Hopefully by next month they're closer to 1st.